What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Thursday, and Zach's back, but we still have not seen Amy Adams Strunk, so we'll find out what we will have a lot on our hands to talk about today with Mike Vrabel at the podium and being asked for over 20 minutes, every question about the firing of John Robinson, the GM of the Titans. So we're going to have a great show this morning on a Thursday. Podium purgatory, a term there that Zach came up with about what Mike Vrabel was thrown into yesterday, and his boss was nowhere to be found. So we'll play some videos of Mike Vrabel's press conference throughout the morning and then ask, where is Amy? Is it fair or foul for Amy Adams Strunk to not address the Titans media after firing GM John Robinson? And then we'll have another conversation about how we think Mike Vrabel handled that press conference as a whole, because frankly, there's a lot of questions that Mike Vrabel was asked that were the correct questions by the Titans media, but Mike Vrabel's not the correct person who can answer those questions. So we'll discuss all of that and play a handful of video throughout. And then, we'll see if we have time for the Magic Bucket. We got a lot of things to talk about. Zach, you've missed a lot of conversation over the last few days with A.J. Brown scoring 2 touchdowns, the crossroads conversation, the firing of John Robinson, the reaction to it. We went down memory lane a lot yesterday with all the different dominoes and mistakes with the draft and free agent signings that John Robinson and trades that John Robinson made over the last 3 years. So I'm ready to get your thoughts on how crazy of a week it's been. So welcome back. And we are going to, and once again, you get to potentially dodge the Magic Bucket as you did last Thursday too.
What happened? Well, two times ago, I dodged it because of you.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
that wasn't me. I was here. I was present. Your sticker wasn't. I didn't do that.
I think missing the Magic Bucket or not having to pull for the Magic Bucket for 3 consecutive weeks has to be a new record. But they're all valid circumstances. If we don't have a chance to get to the Magic Bucket today, but all right, let's get this thing rolling. Welcome back.
Yeah, and we got, big week is, I was in Dallas most of the week with that market. We've got some big news on the horizon for A to Z Sports that our team has been working on. So, excited to launch what we're going to launch and do that. But, what happened in the last several days is wild. And, a lot of our conversations, Austin, over the last, I'd say, weeks, months, maybe even years, has gotten to this point as John Robinson has been the general manager for some time. So we got a lot to unpack, as they say. So, we're home. I'm home. The luggage is there. We just got to unpack and put it in the drawers. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We will tweet out segment by segment those YouTube links. So all of our YouTubers, what's going on? Shout out to you guys. And look, we got a great show in store. You got to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are over 10K, which is awesome. We are on the road to 15,000 subscribers. If you've already subscribed on YouTube, and that's where you take in this show, go ahead and like this show. You can like the actual video. That will help some of the algorithm, and we'll get this thing rolling and get more Titans fans involved and grow our platform. As we've grown Facebook, as we're close to 100,000 over there. We've been doing Facebook a lot longer, and that's the best part about what we do is live streaming. You can digest what we're doing on both platforms, Facebook and on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing on this show. So share the show around. We need to pop up on your Facebook friends news feed. So let's get this party started on a Titans Thursday, a firestorm Titans Thursday. Let's rock and roll.
All right, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media as we are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show all over the Twitter timeline, segment by segment at A to Z Sports. Hit us up on Instagram and TikTok too. But we got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out you guys, especially this holiday season. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon or simply at WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, better coverage, rates, and service Learn more about a health plan for you, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call them for a free case consultation at 800-800-4600. So, Zach, we're going to get to Amy Adams Strunk. Where is Amy? Why didn't she talk to the media? We'll play some Mike Vrabel video throughout the entirety of this, because Mike Vrabel talked to the Titans media yesterday, not because John Robinson was fired on Tuesday. Mike Vrabel talked to the media on Wednesday because it was a Wednesday of a game week. And so Mike Vrabel answered over 20 minutes of straight questioning from Titans media about the firing of John Robinson. So, Zach, I will ask you a question about the firing of John Robinson. What do you think?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for all the comments as I return to A to Z Sports. Always good to get back in the saddle. What I think is, honestly, and this is something that I've been preaching for a long time, Austin, talent. It's solidified of what I've been thinking over the last several, maybe even years. It's a talent problem. It's not a coaching problem. They have a top 5 coach. Downing has issues. We know that. But Amy Adams Strunk solidified what I've been preaching for weeks, years. This is a talent issue. They don't have the talent. And the reason they don't have the talent was based on the decisions made by the person in charge of the talent, or lack thereof. John Robinson. Now, I was shocked by it. I am not going to sit here and pull any punches and say, oh, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Flabbergasted. That would be my one word of, whoa, what just happened? Kind of like when A.J. Brown got traded in the war room on draft day when I was in Vegas, basically 5 feet away from the stage. I felt the exact same way. Like, what is going on? Why? What happened? And as things started to settle in, and Austin, I was listening to a little bit of you and Sam's show earlier in the week of like the timing. Mm-hmm. So the timing does add up based on the seasonality of roster construction, scouting, what general managers' job descriptions are. So that actually does make sense on the timing. But it was out of left field. I did not think John Robinson was on a hot seat, especially based on the resume of this football team. But Austin, there was a glaring problem, and I think we all can recognize it. Talent. There was a lack of talent. We finally got the answer based on the owner's decision to fire the general manager who handpicks the talent. Yeah. And Austin, the other thing that I am harping on, you can call it a victory lap, you can call it a joyride, I don't give a damn. But the fact that they traded away A.J. Brown was absolutely obscene to Titans fans.
Yeah.
And I said that, and I've been preaching. Everybody bitches and moans at me for being, oh my God, this A.J. Brown elitist. Get over it, bro. No. You know who's over it? John Robinson, because he's looking for another job because of the decision he made. So a couple of things that I will be correct on. Lack of talent and how brutally bad trading away the best wide receiver you've ever drafted in the history of your franchise for a guy that could be good, could be great. We don't know what Treylon Burks is going to be, but he's not A.J. Brown now. And Austin, we talk time and time again about Super Bowl window. When it closes, it slams shut. It's open right now. The AFC South they're awful. They're terrible. This is your window to consistently make the playoffs. It's hard to make the playoffs. Ask the Denver Broncos. Ask the Las Vegas Raiders. Ask for the teams fighting like hell in the AFC East to make the playoffs. Somebody's going to be ask the Miami freaking Dolphins over the last 6 years. It's hard to make the playoffs. And the Titans have had the luxury of making it time in and time out. And that's because of their top 5 head coach in Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry. But the surrounding talent is John Robinson's fault. And that's ultimately why he got fired.
You say the Super Bowl window is open. I think the Super Bowl window is currently being held open by Mike Vrabel. In my analogy of him using superhuman strength, just like when human beings lift cars off of other humans in dire moments, right? Like that's the effort that Mike Vrabel is using to keep that Super Bowl window slightly open. And he can't hold it for much longer. So that is interesting there too. AD Frierson says on Facebook, I knew when y'all asked the question, is it a lack of talent or downing? It was at that moment that he knew John Robinson was in jeopardy. Bork Borgen says, how fast do y'all reach for the phone to call each other after news like this breaks? Well, actually on Tuesday, Zach was my fourth phone call because I talked to Jake for our social media reaction. I talked to Zach Reagan. Actually, I talked to Sam to have him turn around because we were both headed to Toy Field. And then Sam turned around. Then I talked to Zach Reagan for an article. And then me and Zach talked about that. But it's just been a crazy couple of hours here with the firing of John Robinson. And one thing that we did confirm at A to Z Sports on, I guess that was Wednesday morning via Buck Rising and his sources, that Mike Vrabel did not do any lobbying or undermining of John Robinson to push for John Robinson to get fired. As Vrabel said, I'm going to play the video from Vrabel's press conference, that he was simply informed of this decision.
What, if any, role did you have in the evaluation of John in your eyes?
What role did I play in?
I mean, did you assist them at all in the evaluation? You evaluate the entire roster here and the team. Did you help at all in their evaluation of John?
No, I was informed of the decision, and not this wasn't a decision that was that included me. It was a decision that was made, and I was informed of that decision.
So, well, and Mike, he said that time and time again throughout the course. And look, I did some digging around from people that I know, and they confirmed that was the case, that it wasn't Mike Vrabel lobbying. Because it's a story. You're trying to figure out what went on. I mean, it's blindsided everybody that I talked to. I informed a couple of people actually in Dallas when I was in meetings, and they're just NFL football fans. I was like, yeah, firestorm. And they said, what? That happened? Yeah, it actually happened. And it wasn't Mike Vrabel that made that happen. Look, they had, and I think, Buck did a good job in the article of saying, everybody has disagreements, but you're also, you have a common goal, which is to win a Super Bowl. That is the common goal between a general manager, a head coach, and a football team and an owner. But ultimately, John Robinson got the axe because he wasn't doing what the owner wanted or felt like the team should do. Yeah. And that was, I think, grow. The roster was not maturing to a point to win a Super Bowl. And I tweeted that out. Like, I've been probably more active on Twitter in the last 5-6 days than I have in the last, 3 or 4 months, because this is a huge time in the Tennessee Titans franchise history. Things are going to change. And Austin, I think that is the best thing for the franchise. John Robinson has a certain way and a certain approach. I think it's more small ball than big boy ball. And small ball, look, Billy Bean ball, as they say, it has worked in sports before. We saw that, we see that in baseball more often. But in the NFL, what we've seen work in recent years is big boy ball. That's going out and purchasing players and valuing the players that you drafted and pay them. And John Robinson did not take that approach by trading away a franchise talent in Arthur Juan Brown.
Well, I think that's interesting because we talked a lot this past offseason about the cash over cap concept that football is turning more towards, where baseball, there's no salary cap. It's the richer gets, the Yankees can go pay Aaron Judge $360 million for that. The Oakland A's cannot. And so that's where Billy Bean was doing his money ball. The Titans are not quite poor like the Oakland A's, but they ain't the Yankees and they ain't the LA Rams, where Stan Kroenke's giving Matt Stafford $60 million of cash in 1 year, but Stafford only counts $11 million on the cap. It's the other way around for the Titans, where their cash doesn't go as far and it affects their cap hit a lot more. And so there is a different dynamic of where the NFL is going with cash over cap that's more similar to Major League Baseball. And can the Titans keep up? And value was another word that I brought up yesterday when Sam and I were talking about the dominoes of misses that led to John Robinson losing his job. And it was the fact that John Robinson, it feels like, got so attached to value, the value of the draft pick, the value of Caleb Farley at 22 because he's this great talent, but the injuries had him drop, right? The value of, well, you trade for Robert Woods for a 6th-round pick because that's better value because he is coming off the ACL. There's a lot of different value situations there that ended up burning John Robinson because he missed out on it.
And ultimately, you make franchise players that you extend contracts because it's easier to sign a guy in-house. It's sales 101. It's easier to re-sign a client than go out and kill your own kill and find a new one. It just is. And it's usually less expensive because you sometimes get house value. The Titans have gotten house value for Derrick Henry, and honestly, they've gotten house value for Jeffrey Simmons for not sitting out any games this year, which I wouldn't have played. There's no way. You have to realize your value. And John Robinson has been, I don't want to say lucky, but I would say fortunate in some of his big name players. But the unfortunate part is his 1st-round picks are atrocious. They're bad. They're terrible. The one is the worst pick in NFL history in Isaiah Wilson, and Caleb Farley is not that far behind. I mean, let's just be honest. He's not that far behind as far as a complete and utter bust in what he has not done on the field due to whatever it is. I always say, we don't care. We don't care. And Amy Adams Strunk, at the end of the day, I think said, we don't care. We're not talented enough. And the reason why we're not talented enough is because of John Robinson. And he's got to go. And look, I don't know the background of we don't know the books. We don't know how it was structured. We don't know the communication or lack thereof. So, there's a lot of mystery behind this. But the stone cold hard facts are John Robinson was fired for a reason, and that reason makes more sense. And Austin, can you admit talent? The problem was talent, right? You've been spraying all the way to the last several weeks and months that it wasn't as much talent. We both understood that coaching and talent were a problem.
Yes.
But I was preaching that talent was the bigger issue, and I think the franchise agrees.
I just think Todd Downing is a significant issue, and Todd Downing, it feels like he might get another opportunity because – the excuse or the reason or the fall guy for Todd Downing's struggles as a play caller is John Robinson.
I don't necessarily think I don't think he gets the benefit of the doubt now. The season's not over. Austin, we got a lot of big time football left in this year. There's a lot of opportunity for Todd Downing to call the wrong plays in key moments, Austin. So I do not count that.
But he's been doing that for a season and a half. But again, Zach, I feel less confident about Todd Downing not being back now than I did before John Robinson got fired.
But was the talent the problem?
Yeah. And again, like you said, we always understood that both talent and offensive coordinating was a problem. I thought the offensive coordinator needed to be better to put that talent in positions to succeed, not positions to fail.
But that wasn't the case. It was the talent that was the worst.
Well, again,
no, just say it. I want you to say
Zach,
it. Talent was the problem.
Because
John Robinson, look, Austin, the general manager was just fired in the middle of the season, Austin.
Yes,
we've been leading up to this point. We've talked
Zach,
at Link's End about this.
And Zach, Sam and I talked about this. I don't know how much of you it was along the ways of the timing thing. John Robinson's job for 2022 is mostly done. There's some back end churning that is done by GMs once you get into December, but it's mostly done. Todd Downing, you cannot necessarily, or it's a lot harder of a lift to change offensive play callers for a team that's headed towards the playoffs in December than it is to change the GM in December because of the nature of their jobs. John Robinson is a future job. Todd Downing is a now job. So that is where
Austin, Todd
Right.
Downing got a DUI. She
I know
could
that.
have fired
I know
him
that.
on the
Whoa,
spot.
Whoa. Hold on now. Don't take that as me thinking that I think Todd Downing or needs to get more opportunity. Todd Downing, I said, remember, Zach, don't forget what I also said. I also said that Todd Downing should not have coached against the Cincinnati Bengals 9 days after his DUI. So let's also remember the things that I said
but
about
there's
Downing.
2 opportunities, and she chose to fire the general manager and not fire the offensive coordinator that got a DUI after he was drinking on her effing plane.
I again,
Like,
all these things that
wild, right?
Yes.
Like, let's think these are straight facts, homie. These are straight like we're not pulling any punches here on AZ Sports. I got a lot of pent up aggression towards not being able to talk about this stuff because I've been seeing it on the wire. And these are wild decisions that have been made by this franchise. And now you are going to, and this is the crazy part, Austin. Amy Adams Strunk fired her general manager after giving him an extension over 4 years, had been continuously giving him titles, vice president, president of football operations, all of this stuff. And then Kansas ass kind of randomly in the middle of a season where you're first place in the AFC South and on cruise control to host another playoff game.
Right, because it doesn't necessarily affect the next 5 games. That's the point.
But she extended him.
I know that. She extended him in February before the A.J. Brown trade and before that was the nail in the coffin. So, again, I know this is your first time to talk about it. This is my 3rd time to talk about it on a public live stream. And so there's a lot of things that I've said over the last 2.5 days that, that you have not had an opportunity to talk about. So there is a lot to cover here. Especially since you've been out the last few days. But let's go ahead and ask this question because here's something that I have not talked about yet, and I can't wait to. Where was Amy Adams Strunk? Because Mike Vrabel went up there and answered questions for over 20 minutes from Titans media, and Amy Adams Strunk was not there. We're going to play some more video, but we want to ask you guys this question. Fair or foul for Amy Adams Strunk to not address Titans media after firing John Robinson? Fair or foul for Amy Adams Strunk to not address the media? But Zach, first tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where you need to go to get your new health plan. I got my new health plan at the beginning of last year. I'm really glad that I did. We love Farm Bureau Health Plans. Austin and I have talked. We've been to their corporate headquarters in Columbia, Tennessee. We've built a relationship with them. And man, I'm reaping the benefits of that relationship. And talk about value. There's value to that compared to my old plan. My old plan, man, it was not good. And I realized it was not good only after I got a quote from fbhp.com/A to Z. You get on the phone, you take a quick health assessment, they give you a quote, and you realize, wow, that's better health, dental, vision. They're hooking me up with a great plan for less money. I save 20% every month compared to my old plan. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. Visit fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Also, download the BetMGM app and use our code ATOZ Sports. That means you get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000 with your first bet on pro football. It's a big deal for you guys to take advantage of. There's a game tonight. There's several games, a lot of games, full slate over the weekend in pro football. So once again, download the BetMGM app and use our code ATOZ Sports for a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. Zach, I just asked the question, is it fair or foul for Amy Adams Strunk to not address the Titans media after firing GM John Robinson? I will send you to the chat here in a second, but here is Mike Vrabel being asked, where's Amy, yesterday.
How much did the way the game went down in Philadelphia Sunday, did that have any impact at all on the timing of this decision?
I know that Amy informed me of the decision, and I can't speak to the timing of it. I can't speak to the decision of it. So I'm sorry I can't help you.
I think those are things that Amy could speak to, which lends again to the question as to where's Amy right now?
Well, I can't, I'm not going to speak to her whereabouts. I think that I can only express the support that she's given us, given me as the head coach, and the communications that we've had since this decision.
So, I mean,
I
where's
cannot speak to her whereabouts.
where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
It's like an angry ex, like boyfriend or girlfriend, like, where is he? Where is she? He's like, I cannot speak to their whereabouts. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so like, I want you to get to the comments, because fair or foul for Amy Adams Strunk to not be there, because the obvious is there are questions about this move that need to be asked by Titans media, doing the job of the media, that Mike Vrabel simply cannot answer. So fair or foul, I'm curious to see what the chat says on this.
So Dylon goes fair, Mitchell goes foul, Eric goes foul, Eric Alonzo, different Eric, goes fair, foul from Mr. Cloud, foul from Chris, but fair from Will Tennessee, foul from Steven, but fair from Nick. So this is a good question. We're kind of split on this. Foul from Steven, but fair from Corey, excuse me. A couple of fairs coming in from Michael and Way. Sean says foul. Jonathan says fair. She never does. Why start now? So
Never
that's
does
Jonathan's.
what? I mean, she does press conferences.
Well, she does press conferences for like philanthropic things at times, right? I'm trying to think, and I have to go back in my memory of when the last time she held a press conference, though. That's something to look at.
You keep reading comments, and I'll go look at it.
Let's see. Very foul from Max. John says foul. Fair from Brent. She did her part, got rid of the problem, made a decision. Let's see. And Chris says, does she normally talk to the media? If so, then foul. I mean, that's not on a normal, regular basis. So I will say that. It's kind of few and far between. That's kind of how I would say. Now, this is a different story because of the levity of the decision, right? Jared says fair. CJ says fair. Neutral from Justin. Foul from Dion. Fair from Deborah. It's fair from Dylon. Fair from Reginald. You got Fowler from Orlando. So he is on the fence right there. So a ton of different comments coming in. Fair or foul. We've got Albert says foul. Here's Dom, and Dom's given some lunch money. He says, everyone blames only J-Rob. Where was Amy when it was time to pony up extra cash for signing bonuses to pay and keep guys? So that's Dom's take on this thing. Austin, is it fair or foul for Mike Vrabel to have to take a lot of these podium bullets that Amy Adams Strunk's decision, she is the owner of the football team, to not be there in person to answer some of these tough questions? Fair or foul?
It's foul to make Mike Vrabel stand up there and take those shots. Like, it's that is not Mike Vrabel's job. If Mike Vrabel makes a football decision, then yes, he can answer those things. But when the media is asking questions, and I hate when fans, I'm not saying all of you guys, I don't like when fans discredit the purpose of the media. It's like, oh, well, that's just media wanting to make it about them. No, it's like the media's job is to be able to find answers and figure out the process of things about your favorite team. And so I've seen so many conversations, I'm sure you have, and people around their offices with their families, and just saying, man, I wonder if that Eagles blowout had something to do with this. Did something happen from Sunday to Tuesday? What is going on here? How long has she been thinking about this? All these things that everybody's chattering about amongst themselves and their other Titans friends, that's what Amy Adams Strunk can answer. Mike Vrabel cannot. And so because of the timing of John Robinson being fired on a Tuesday, and Mike Vrabel being contractually obligated by the NFL to speak to the media on Wednesday because it's a practice day of a game week, Amy Adams Strunk, it would have been the right thing to do for her head coach, for her to answer questions, and then let him answer what he can answer about the situation, and then let him do what he can do, which is the football side of things. I thought it was an unfair situation for Mike Vrabel to stand up there and just be, peppered with questions that he just frankly cannot do anything with.
Well, and you said, that she threw him under the bus. I thought Mike Vrabel did a very good job of not throwing his boss under the bus.
Yes.
You didn't hear a lot. Well, you're going to have to ask Amy that. You've got to ask Amy. You got to ask Amy. We didn't hear that over and over again. He just kind of said, I was informed of the decision.
And on that point, that's a good point you bring up, because whenever Mike Vrabel is asked about one of his players or one of his coaches, he says, well, you're going to have to go ask them. And guess what? The media has the opportunity to go ask that player or that coach, minus Tim Kelly, because we can't ask Tim Kelly any questions. But everybody else can be asked questions. And so Mike Vrabel defers to that because they're available. Mike Vrabel didn't say, well, that's something you'll have to ask Amy, because he knows the media cannot ask Amy Adams Strunk. She is not made available. And a statement is great. A statement's a statement. Mike Vrabel, after every Titans game, walks up to the podium and he gives a statement, and then he answers questions. So just because you give a statement does not mean that you are void of the requirement of answering questions about said decision or said statement.
Well, so here's the difference. So I struggle with this because there's two sides of it. And I think the chat told us exactly that. There's two ways of thinking. There's fair and there's foul. Austin, I've worked for corporate America before. There's a hierarchy. I hate and loathe corporate America. I have told people, and you've been in those meetings, that are in charge at the higher ups, higher levels of corporate America, I hate what you represent. And they laugh, but they're a part of it. And I didn't do very well with it because I don't do very well with authority, and that's just my personality. But he signed up for that. And this is corporate America. And John Robinson did the same thing, right? He knew he was going to get fired eventually. That's just how the industry works, right?
Oh, yeah, you get hired to get fired.
Everybody gets fired. Everybody does, and especially in this particular job. And so Amy Adams Strunk made a decision. She's the owner of the corporate entity. She can do whatever the F she damn well pleases. She can handle whatever situation. So can Dan Snyder. So can Jerry Jones, right? So can Stan Kroenke. There are ways to go about it, and then some are praised and some are not. Now, Jerry wants to be, he goes on radio every single week, right? And he talks about, because he's, all of that. Amy Adams Strunk is a controlling owner, but she also lurks in the shadows. She is not always in the forefront of, this is Amy's team. This is Amy's house. This is Amy's stadium. That's not how it is constructed. Austin, you also have to remember, when Bud died, there was a huge transition, right? Tommy Smith was terrible for this franchise. It finally kind of got, ironed out to what it is today. But even after that, Amy has not taken, the liberty of being the face of the actual franchise. She's had others do that for her. So am I surprised that this happened? My answer is absolutely not. She took the corporate approach. I hire you to do a job, Mike Vrabel. This is what I'm asking you to do. And you know what? Mike Vrabel did it to the best of his ability.
Sure. So I want to take this a step further. Okay, unless you're done.
Well, I'm going to answer the question.
Okay, yeah.
Here is why it is foul. And I agree with you, because it is not what I would do. Say what you mean and mean what you say. That is words that I live by. I don't lie. I don't cheat. I don't steal. I am who I am. You tell the truth. And if you sat there and Amy did this, told us that John Robinson deserved and earned a 4-year extension and was going to be here for the next several years, and then something happened, or several things happened, that's okay. Things change. In life, things change. But to fire the guy that you just extended in the middle of a season, when things look, you've lost a couple of games, don't get me wrong, but you are first in your division. You are on a smooth, typical ride to another playoff game in Nissan Stadium to showcase your franchise. You should have, I want to be correct here. You should have the respect of your franchise and your fans to go up and field questions. And You should answer those questions openly and honestly for your fans that make you have all of this money. Yes, it is a gift and a blessing to inherit a franchise, right? And she didn't choose that. She didn't choose who her father was. That's not her decision. She's taken it and done great, unbelievable things in the city of Nashville. And I think she's praised for that. But
Yeah.
in times of duress, Austin, you have got to be that person carrying the torch, the flame. And we didn't see that yesterday. And that was disappointing.
Yeah, and I want to take that a step further too, and also a comparison for Amy Adams Strunk in this situation that we all have to stop making. And so you said a lot of good things. I want to add to it and add another person that she needed to treat with more respect yesterday in this situation. But first, let me tell you guys about Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you have been injured in a car wreck, there's one place to call. You get a free case consultation on your accident if you've been injured in a car wreck by calling Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers at 800-800-4600. They've recovered over $1 billion for their clients across the state of Tennessee and in Kentucky over 30 plus years and can do the same thing for you. So go check them out. If you've been injured in a car wreck, that's the place to go. Free case consultation when you call Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, 800-800-4600, principal office, Nashville, Tennessee.
A to Z Sports were powered by BetMGM. Download the app today, the king of the sports books. I'm back from, you can't bet in the state of Texas. So I'm back, baby. I'm in Tennessee and I'm ready to light it up. NBA, college basketball, you can do whatever you need to do. Download the app today. ATOZ Sports is the promo code. You get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. You got pro football. It's Thursday night. It's been a crazy week. I forgot that it's Thursday. You got Thursday night.
Yeah.
The king of sportsbook. Download the app today.
All right, so, we both say it's foul that Amy Adams Strunk was not there to address questions about the firing of John Robinson. And, Mr. Jones says actions are louder than words. Yeah, but when you're in a position of power, then you, especially with this type of public company that is an NFL franchise, there's an entire industry based off of talking about what happens within those doors in that building and on those fields.
And let me add this real quick. There's a lot to answer, and Humble VAR, again, some lunch money, brings up Big Jeff. You remember that? That was like a subtlety. You have A.J. Brown. You have all the things going on. Then you sign Harold Landry. Unfortunately, he tears his ACL. The Bud Dupree signing, he's had hip injuries all the time. And then the DUI, and then Big Jeff coming out and basically, it's a slap in the face to the franchise saying, we got to go find the money. Who said that to Big Jeff? Well, it was reported that Big Jeff was saying that in the talks and the roster control is done by John Robinson, or was
Correct.
at least.
Yeah. So that's interesting point too, that I didn't think about until that comment there. So you said that Amy Adams Strunk, kind of owes it, and she needs to be responsible to her franchise and her fans to go out.
In my opinion.
In your opinion, right? I agree with that opinion. I'm going to add to it. She owes it to Mike Vrabel. Does she not? Does she not owe it to her head coach to not set up there to take these shots? Does she not owe it to Mike Vrabel to go up there and say, hey, coach, I've got this part. I want you to do your job. I'll take this because it's my decision. Does she not, though? And I
think it's unfair. I will not say that because I do not know the conversation or the relationship between Mike Vrabel and Amy Adams Strunk. I think that is very valuable in what you are talking about.
Sure. But from what Mike Vrabel said several times yesterday that he has a great relationship and had a great professional relationship with John Robinson. That's two separate, personal and working professionally with John Robinson. I think, and Mike Vrabel thanked Amy for the support that he and his coaching staff gets from her. But I feel like, and I'm not trying to do this, but Zach, you and I own our company. I feel responsibility to stand up for the people that we employ. If somebody gets called out that we employ, I'm going to go to bat for them. If somebody gets embarrassed or something happens or somebody's getting it, I'm going to go to bat for them. I'm going to be the forward face that goes to that to protect my guy or our employee or whoever it might be. And so I feel like it is the owner's responsibility to their employee to say, it is my responsibility to take this off of your shoulders.
So think about it in a different light. But Austin, you're seasoned to do that. I'm seasoned to do this, right? This is what we do.
What,
we are
talking?
in the line of fire. We
Yeah.
do this every day.
Yeah.
Getting in, and I will say it, you get into a sports debate with Austin and I on the streets, you're going to struggle. And the reason why is because we're seasoned. We do this every single day. I mean, right? I mean, I'm not saying we're always going to win, but we're trained, right? I mean, it's like MMA fighters cannot get into street fights because they'll kill you. They're trained, right? Here's the philosophy, Austin. Amy Adams Strunk is not trained. Have we figured out when the last time she spoke?
The last time she spoke, not at a press conference, but her and Mike Keith did a sit-down conversation about the stadium proposal 1 month ago.
Yeah, right. No, set up in lounge chairs, scripted. If she messes up, we can go re-edit it, Miss Amy. Don't worry about it. Austin, usually when people do things in court that they don't go on the stand, we're not going to put you on the stand. Why? Because the other lawyer is seasoned. They do this for a living. Reporters are seasoned to ask hard questions. You got, and look, this is not even the New York media. You got Kowarski, which plays hardball. Tehran asks good questions. I think Sam asks good questions. There's a lot of media members that ask really good questions.
Can I pause for a second? Because I want to give a lot of credit to everybody who I heard speak yesterday during that press conference. Like, bravo to them. And it goes
I agree.
to the people you mentioned: Steve Lehman,
Yes.
Kayla Anderson,
Yes.
John Glennon, Terry McCormick, Jared Stillman. I'm trying to think of everybody who I heard. Everybody did their job. Everybody did their job.
And here's, again, I usually try to take myself out of the emotional situation that we were just in.
Yeah.
You're setting her up. She is setting herself up for failure, and you don't want to do that. Now, again, you and I's train of thought, yeah, hit me with the bullets, MFer. I can take them. I can answer all your questions. We answer questions all the time. I would dominate that podium. It would be tough, but that's what we are trained to do. Amy Adams Strunk is not trained to do that. So I think that was more strategy to say, Mike Vrabel, you answer these type of questions every week and have for the last several years. That's what we pay you to do.
But he can't.
You are going to be our ambassador.
But
do I think
can't
it's
do
right? No,
but
I
he can't
said it
answer
was
those
foul.
questions.
No, I
Yeah,
said it was foul,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's the reasoning behind it, I believe. It doesn't mean that we have to agree with it, but that was the reasoning behind it.
And again, because Dalen says, we love Amy. And I can say the same. I can say multiple things at the same time. Amy Adams Strunk, since taking over in 2015, has been for this franchise and what she's been able to do for the Tennessee Titans. She also made a really gutsy decision and a strong statement decision to fire John Robinson. That is a decision that you have to respect because she's not messing around, and it's a decision that Titans fans should look at in a high regard and saying the owner cares about the standard like the fans do. The owner wants what the fans want, and that is the best. And now I can also say that I feel like Amy Adams Strunk left and hung out Mike Vrabel to dry in front of a media corps with a ton of questions that the guy can't answer. And that's all my emotions.
It's a part of the job. It's a part of the job. Everything's a part of the job, Austin.
It's a part of Mike Vrabel's job. But in this circumstance, Amy Adams Strunk made a decision. Mike Vrabel told us that. He was informed of the decision post-decision. She made the decision. It's her decision. I believe you should speak and answer questions on decisions about firing a general manager who has had 6 consecutive winning seasons on his way to, what are we talking about? Well, I'm not talking about Jerry Jones giving press conferences after football games in a hallway. I'm talking about firing a general manager who got you out of 5-27 to the 9-7 and beyond, 6 straight years and on the way to a 3rd consecutive division title. That's the move. It's not a tiny little move.
Well, she did the same thing with Mike Mularkey. You don't want to play my ball? Get the hell out. You're fired.
I'm not questioning the decision. I'm talking, but what'd she do? The Mike Mularkey thing happened in the offseason, right? That's where I think the timing of this
But
is
we
important.
know why the timing. You explained that,
No,
right?
no, hold
It's
on.
the general
Let me
manager season.
Right. No, but the timing matters because when Mularkey was fired after the season, there was no contractually obligated press conference the next day. Mike Vrabel had to go speak yesterday, according to his NFL head coaching contract. So Amy Adams Strunk, when she fired Mike Mularkey, there was nobody set up to be hung out to dry the next day, right?
Well, different things happen in different ways.
And-
Austin, that's corporate America. When people are fired, you know what they do? They send out an email saying, we wish you the best in your future endeavors. Joe Schmo's fired. Joe Schmo's hired. This is your new boss. Deal with it. Sometimes they go, look, sometimes in corporate America, and I've seen this when you're in like sales, regional sales, and let's say you have the state of Tennessee and Kentucky. Oh, well, you know what? On a Tuesday, we're actually going to change. You now have Arkansas and Louisiana. You don't get to ask why. You don't get to talk to the person that made the decision. You don't get any of that. And this is just another way on a higher platform with a lot more money and more public eye, I understand. But this was straight strategy by Amy Adams Strunk to not put herself and lose something. She didn't lose, Austin. You know why? Because now she's going to go hire somebody or change, and the team can improve. That's why she justified it based on what her statement or written statement is that it wasn't good enough. And Titans fans, I said, I agree. Their talent is trash.
Yes.
They should be upset of what they're putting out there on the field at times.
We're not disagreeing about the decision. We're
So
talking
that's
about
the strategy not to
process.
speak, though.
It's about the process. And Charlie says on YouTube, Austin is a soft know-it-all. I don't know what it is about holding the owner accountable that makes me soft, Charlie. But go for it and have your opinion about how I am so soft because I'm trying to hold one of 32 people who's an owner of a franchise in the NFL accountable for saying they should have been there to answer those questions, not the head coach who can't. That's what I'm saying.
Well, here's the other thing, and here's the last thing before we move on. Austin, you also have to remember at times she's been in Houston, right? And she's been the controlling owner of this franchise from afar, too. It's not like
don't give me that. Don't give me
No,
that.
it's true.
Don't give me that. Don't give me that because there was 24 damn hours when John Robinson was fired at 11 a.m. Central Time on Tuesday.
I'm not saying she wasn't in town. Austin, there was a strategy. She knew what she was doing by not speaking. I'm not sitting here pulling any punches there. She knew exactly why and what for not speaking to the media. She wasn't going to do it. That was going to hurt her brand and put her in a bad position. But Austin, when you're a multi-billionaire, you get to make those decisions. Look, I think I understand it. I don't agree with it. I think you don't agree with it. But I understand why she did what she did or why she didn't do what she didn't do.
Devin, you're kind of giving me a creep vibe here, bro.
I think it's
it's a quote from something.
Yeah, satirical.
Yeah, I know. It's a quote from something. I just can't put my finger on where that shut your beautiful mouth came from. All right, so let's go ahead and flip this around and ask a question more about Mike Vrabel. And how do we think Mike Vrabel handled the press conference yesterday? And we'll get to some more audio. But Zach, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your next ride. That's wilsoncountyhyundai.com. They've got your perfect make and model right around the corner. Quick trip down I-40 exit 236. Both Austin and I have test driven these vehicles, whether it's the Palisade, Sleek, the Sonata, which I absolutely love, fuel efficiency out the wazoo. They even have the Ioniq, which is battery powered. You charge that bad boy up. You can go wherever your heart desired. If you want to go to the podium, you can go. If you don't want to go, you can drive far, far away in that Ioniq. That's wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Download the BetMGM app and use our code ATOZ Sports for a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. It's easy as it gets with BetMGM and a lot of fun when you bet on pro football with our code ATOZ Sports. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification, eligible requirements. Rewards issued with knowledgeable for bets and credit. For bets expire 7 days. For problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. How do we think Mike Vrabel handled himself at the press conference? Because there was a situation where Mike Vrabel was asked about his frustration with a roster that kind of caught Vrabel in a catch-22 with some things he said in the past that maybe he didn't really want to bring up yesterday in his press.
In the past, you had made comments along the lines, and I'm not saying word for word what you said, but along the lines of you could only coach the players that are provided to you. That could be interpreted as frustration with the roster. So I want to ask you.
Yeah, I would charge you to find that. My job, like I told you, each and every day is to find the guys that we have, find ways to make them better and to reach them on a personal level, to teach, to develop, and inspire them to do their job, to make a personal connection with them. You know, I don't think, and I would hesitate to say that that's something that I said. So I'm excited about the new guys that we signed, that we're going to get ready to play in this game on Sunday. That's what we've always done. Find 48 guys somehow, some way to get ready to go win.
Paraphrasing, it was something like, this is how we have to play with what we have. Or to Ed Werder, who the hell would we throw it to if we wanted to throw it a bunch?
Again, I don't know where your question is.
The question is, were you restricted by the personnel that you had?
No, that's coaching. You know, that's coaching is, you know, figure out who's available, who you have, and find ways to win the football game. We're charged to win, and that's all we've ever tried to do is take that approach, put ultimate importance on the players, and trying to teach them, understand what wins in this league week to week. And for the most part, we've done a pretty good job at it, and it has to continue to improve. It has to be better in all areas.
So, you know, that's Teron Davenport and Paul Kaharski hitting Vrabel with a 1-2 combo in that spot. Again,
Amy didn't want that. She didn't want that smoke. Amy didn't want that heat. That's why she didn't do it, because those are the tough questions, right? And Vrabel, he started the answers with, don't say anything I would charge you to find, because the internet will find them.
Yeah,
I think we found them.
Everybody at that press conference knows exactly the two things that they can recall off the top of their head. Like, I don't have a photographic memory, but I can damn sure see Ed Werder's tweet. Who the bleep are we going to throw it to? Like on Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. Like, it's not that, Vrabel knows that it's all of our jobs to obsess about things that he says, and that he knows that we got that in the back pocket ready to pull out when we need it, when we're asked. And so again, some people, Devin and some others, didn't think that was a fair line of questioning by Teron. No, that's what needs to be asked in situations where the GM is fired and the coach has comments in the past that led to that. And here's the one that how it's going to look situation from after the Titans beat the Colts in Nissan Stadium earlier this season.
On a day where offense struggled maybe a little bit, nice to get.
I don't know. It's good defense.
Turnovers.
You know, I mean, it's great. It's great to get turnovers and, for the most part, take care of the football. That's going to be the formula. If you guys haven't figured that out, that's how we're going to have to play. But it's a battle. It's a good defense. It's a very good defense. So we were close on some things, and we'll have to continue to look and work. But I'm just extremely proud of these guys. I'm proud of all three phases.
Coach, several players battling through some injuries today. What can you say about overall toughness, resiliency of this team?
Amazing. Never would have dreamed that, given the opportunity to coach, be a head coach in this league, that you'd be able to coach a bunch of guys that are as tough as they are, that care about each other. And I know that it's professional football and there's a lot of tough guys. I understand that. But, top to bottom, I think it becomes somewhat infectious. when guys are peeling themselves off the turf, getting checked out, getting taped up, doing whatever they have to do to be out there. They're extremely proud of their toughness and their resolve, mental toughness as well.
So after a win, Vrabel, proud of those guys, but this is how it's going to look, and get used to it because this is what we got from Mike Vrabel after a win.
Yeah, well, and you go through 20 minutes of questioning, you're going to get, got in some regard, but I do think that Vrabel did a solid job for Amy Adams Strunk and for the franchise. And look, he gets his guy, and this is how I thought about it, Austin. He tells his players to answer questions a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Adams, you have to expect it. Like now, if you're asking your players and they do a good job of, hey, we're on to Cincinnati, on to the next game, right? Like that's how they speak. They don't give you a lot of stuff.
He literally said on to Cincinnati when after the Todd Downing DUI.
Right? And so in these situations, that's really where you're tested. And I thought Mike Vrabel did about the best job that you could do. I mean, there were some probably things that he probably maybe want to look back at, but that's a tough line of questioning, especially because it wasn't your decision.
Yeah.
John Robinson was his boss. I mean, and he said that. I mean, the structure and the hierarchy of how these things work, you have Amy Adams Strunk, then you have John Robinson, or had John Robinson, and then Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel reported to John Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
John Robinson and Amy hired Mike Vrabel. And now that is all kind of shaken up. And tomorrow we'll talk more about the future, right? And what that holds, and if this is a good or a bad thing and all that other stuff. But look, I think Amy Adams Strunk made the decision that she felt was necessary at the time after multiple situations had occurred to hurt the football team and hurt the franchise. The A.J. Brown, all of the things had been building up. And now, I mean, they've been embarrassed on television a couple of times. A.J. Brown embarrassed them. The Buffalo Bills embarrassed them. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Now, they embarrassed the Green Bay Packers, which was good, but that was the best game that they've played. But we have never seen anything close to that performance all year. That was a one and done.
Yeah.
And when you get one and done, you don't want to use that one and done in the playoffs because you're sitting at home. So,
yeah,
Mike Vrabel did the best job that he could. And now you got to just move forward without John Robinson. I do think things are going to change, though. And I like that because I've been preaching from high heaven that Derrick Henry and the way that they play football offensively is not going to win you a Super Bowl. And the only way to change that is to change that.
Yep. To answer the question, I do think Mike Vrabel handled himself very well. It got to the point where I was just like, damn, like, come on. What is the guy supposed to say? But I do think Vrabel kept his composure. He handled it with respect and grace and did not throw anybody under the bus, did not say anything that he shouldn't have said. So it was a very good job by Mike Vrabel overall and how he handled that. So look, we got a lot of things to get to throughout tomorrow. We haven't talked a lick of Jags game. And I don't even know if we're going to talk a lick of Jags game tomorrow.
Well, Lawrence's big toe, that's a huge balancing act heading into this game because if that toe is not full, and look, it looked like it hurt when he got hurt last week in bad performance. This is an opportunity to get back on track. You can go one or two ways, right? You lose to the Jags and then, oh no, or you get, and this is where Mike Vrabel usually rises to the occasion. So we've got future talk. We got a ton of stuff to get to tomorrow, our pregame show and all that stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of big toe, I know Trevor Lawrence could go to the Bone and Joint Institute and get that big toe checked out, and maybe they could do something. I don't know if the Bone and Joint Institute wants to help out Trevor Lawrence as he comes to Nashville, but I do know that if you have any type of injury, the Bone and Joint Institute is the place to go. So check them out right there, boneandjointtn.org. That's boneandjointtn.org. Zach, we've got to get out because we've got a couple meetings to get to here quickly, but tomorrow will be jam-packed with more future conversation. What does this mean for the locker room? Ryan Tannehill had an interesting comment about the firing of John Robinson and how guys can take it inside the locker room. And then what does it mean? Is it a rallying type of cry for the Titans to get to the playoffs and see what they can do once they get in the playoffs? But that'll wrap it up for us for today. So make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the show before you go if you're watching on YouTube and on Facebook. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up. We've been getting lots of thumbs up and likes throughout the last couple of days, but also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And we'll check you guys tomorrow morning on a Friday. Appreciate it as always.
In J-Rob, they no longer trust. Adios.